Good morning, sir.
Good
My
morning.
name is Mohammed Kindil. I am 16 years old. I want to ask you, how do you can support the children in Jordan?
Well, thank you very much, Mohammed. Thank you very much for coming to the UN in Jordan. It's really nice to have you, and have you coming as a representative of all children of Jordan. You know, for me, the United Nations is all about making a difference. It's all about making a difference for people, and it's all about particularly making a difference for children. So making a difference for children in Jordan, I think that is precisely what you bring up. That is to secure that all children, girls and boys, have access to education, that everybody can actually go to school. But not only that they can go to school, but they get really good, high quality schooling. Whether or not you're a girl, you're a boy, you are living with disabilities, or in whatever conditions that you have equal opportunities. I think that's one of those that is absolutely most important, and that is what the United Nations is all about for me. But it's also very much for me about making sure that all have access to health care. That if you get sick, that you actually then have possibilities to get good care. And you know what? That everybody will get the same care independently whether or not you are rich or you are poor, you live in the countryside, you live in Amman, whether or not you are coming from a family with good opportunities or from a family with less good opportunities. So that we're all equal. That is very much what the UN is all about for me. And you know, you see all of these things around you? You know what that is? The Sustainable Development Goals. So what we have said as the UN is that by 2030, that is in not that many years, right? In some 13, 14 years, we will make sure, we will work with all governments to ensure that all have equal access to the absolute fundamentals of what people need. And at the core of this, it's about something we call leaving no one behind. Leaving no one behind. And for me, that means that we will always be looking at those that are in the most vulnerable situation. That we don't go for those that are having a reasonably good life, but that we always look at those that are most vulnerable. That is what it's all about for me. That is my United Nations. We know that in many schools all over the world, including in Jordan, many students, many girls and boys going to school, they are facing violence in schools, right? That there are teachers actually in many cases not only being teachers but abusing children. I think that's one of those things we really have to work on. So we end violence wherever it is in society. So we know that in many houses, in many families, also all over the world, but also in Jordan and also in my country, we have families and we have fathers often and sometimes mothers that do not always respect children in the way they should. That maybe they beat children when they don't do precisely what they think they should be doing. And we don't think that's the way it should be. So for me, it's extremely important that we always at the United Nations, we stand up and we fight all kinds of violence in society and also within families. You have a sister?
Yes.
Yes. So you know that you and I, we are boys, we are men. And you know, we are very privileged because we know that men and boys typically have better opportunities than women and girls. Yes. So for me, one thing that is really at the very, very core of what the United Nations is, that is about that everybody is equal. So whether or not you are a boy or a girl, it's equal, and you must have equal opportunities. But we know that's not really the case. We know that girls have much less opportunities than boys, and that women often have much less opportunities than men. That even if they do the same job, men get more paid than the woman, and that's not the way it should be. So in Jordan, for me it's really important that your sister, maybe it's your younger sister?
في أكبر وفي أصغر.
Both, yes, one older and one younger. Okay, so that both of them will then have the same opportunities that you have. That they will go to school and they won't stop going to school when they reach a particular age, because there will be an expectation that they will maybe get married, maybe they have to stay home, but they will be able to pursue what they want, just like you and me. And we also know that, you know, in many countries, if you live with disabilities, whether or not they're physical disabilities or in many cases mental disabilities, you have less opportunities. And for me, the United Nations is really about saying that we are all equal, independently of whatever situation we are in. We are all equal. So we have to ensure that you are in a wheelchair, but you then have the same opportunities to go to school and to have recreation than anybody else. So that's not something that makes a difference between people. So I think that's what I would like us to do as the United Nations, to really stand up for those people without a voice, or with less a voice, and make sure that all governments, including in Jordan, will then do the same and ensure that its people will have as good prosperity as possible.
لو كنت ممثل الأمم المتحدة بالأردن لسعيت لإعطاء جميع الأطفال حقوقهم، ومن أهم هاي الحقوق اللي هي حق التعليم. التعليم وخصوصا لذوي الإعاقة الحركية. ذوي الإعاقة الحركية بتواجههم مشاكل وصعوبات كثيرة، من أهمها مشكلة التنقلات من البيت للمدرسة أو من المدرسة للبيت. المشكلات هي تهيئة الطرقات. ذوي الإعاقة بيضطر إنه يقعد بالمدرسة، زي أنا طبعا الآن دراسة منزلية بسبب الطرقات الغير معبدة، صعب إني أذهب للمدرسة وأرجع. المدرسة غير مهيئة أيضا، ما فيها رامب، ما فيها أقدر أدخل وأطلع المدرسة. الصف بالطابق اللي فوق ما بقدر إني أطلع له وأنزل له. المدرسة درج ما فيها إني أطلع لفوق وأنزل. كمان من أهم الشغلات اللي بواجهها بصعوبة يعني زي ما حكيت اللي هي الطرقات والمدارس. ثانيا الطلاب والأساتذة ما في عندهم تقبل إلي. فأنا لو كنت ممثل الأمم المتحدة في الأردن لسعيت إني أعطي دورات توعوية، إن كان للطلبة أو إن كان للأساتذة، إنها تقدر يكون عندها وعي كيف إني أقدر أتعامل مع هذا الشخص اللي أمامي، أتعامل معه نفس أي إنسان عادي، ما أعمل بينه وبينه تمييز، يكون معامل نفس الشيء. النقطة الثانية وهي نقطة كثير مهمة، اللي هي بالمدارس بصير حوادث كثير، ويعني صراحة عبال ما توصل للجهات المعنية بكون الطفل حالته صارت أسوأ. فأنا لو كنت ممثل الأمم المتحدة لسعيت إني أأمن بكل مدرسة حكومية غرفة طوارئ مع كادر تمريض، لو كان ممرضة واحدة، إنه يقدر يسعف هذا الطالب إذا قدر هو يخلص الحالة بنفس الوقت، بكون ساهم إنه خفف الأزمات على المستشفيات الحكومية، وبنفس الوقت بنقذ حالة الطفل بوقت سريع. أو إذا ما قدروا إنهم يعملوا له إشي، بيقدروا إنهم يسعفوه لوقت محدد قبل ما توصل الجهات المعنية وتقدر إنها تسعفه. أما في نقطة كثير مهمة إحنا ذوي الإعاقة بنعاني منها، قلة الوعي عند أهلنا بالنسبة لموضوع إنهم يقدروا يتعاملوا معنا. الآن في كثير ناس ربنا بعطيهم طفل ذوي إعاقة ما بيقدروا يتعاملوا معه، ما بيعرفوا كيف يتعاملوا معه. فأنا لو كنت ممثل الأمم المتحدة في الأردن لسعيت إني أعطي دورات توعوية لهدول الأهالي، عشان يقدروا يتعاملوا مع أطفالهم، ويقدروا يأمنوا لهم حياة سعيدة، ويتعاملوا معهم نفس أي طفل عندهم بالبيت. ونعطيهم دورات بنفس الوقت تقويهم، تعطيهم دفعة لقدام، لأنه نفسيتهم بتضعف لما يشوفوا طفلهم غير الأطفال العاديين بضلوا قاعد بالبيت، ما بيقدر يطلع يلعب، ما بيقدر ينزل، ما بيقدر يروح. فإحنا بدنا نعطيهم دورات إنه نوعيهم إنه طفلك عنده إعاقة، ما في مشكلة عادي، بيقدر هاي اللعبة مثلا الفوتبول ما بيقدر يلعبه، بيقدر يلعب لعبة تانية، بيقدر يلعب تنس طاولة، بيقدر يلعب طائرة. فهاي مشكلة كثير كبيرة. أما بالنسبة للمشكلة الجاي طبعا هي صراحة متوفرة الشغل راح أحكي فيها، بس للأسف الشديد مش كمية كبيرة. الآن هي مراكز اللي بتنمي مواهب الشباب، واللي بتعطيهم دفعة لقدامهم يقدروا يحققوا اللي ببالهم، اللي هي طبعا لأطفال ذوي الإعاقة أو غير ذوي الإعاقة. راح لو إني كنت ممثل الأمم المتحدة في الأردن، طبعا راح أهيئ لكل مناطق المملكة في الأردن، بكل منطقة مراكز تنمي مواهب الشباب وتنمي قدراتهم وتكون مجانية، لأنه للأسف الشديد هاي المراكز موجودة بكثرة، بس للأسف الشديد يعني في ناس وضعهم المادي ما بيسمح لهم إنهم يدخلوا أولادهم، فإحنا بدنا نوفر لهم مراكز مجانية غير ربحية تقدر تنمي مواهبهم وتعيش وتعطيهم فكرة لقدام، عن طريق الدورات وعن طريق تساهم انها تعطيهم حياة سعيدة، وما يحسوا بفرق بينهم وبين اي فرد من افراد المجتمع، ان كان من الطبقة الوسطى او كان من الطبقة الراقية.
Thank you. And you know what? I think particularly what you said at the end in terms of society accepting that we are not all identical. And that a society will have to accept that some are born different, but that doesn't mean that we have different values. I can see that you come from a family that have accepted you as you are. I can see that you have parents that are really proud of you as any other child. And I think that you, in that regard, you are exceptionally fortunate. But you also know that in many societies, if you live with disabilities, you are put aside. You see in many societies where you don't see people with disability because parents are embarrassed. Parents don't feel the same pride. So they are put somewhere far away. And particularly, I think this is true if you are speaking about mental disabilities. Physical disabilities we can somewhat relate to, but if we have mental disabilities, it's very difficult for many societies and families to accept. So I think you're absolutely right that until we are able to find people, parents, families, society to accept that we are all not identical, but we all have equal values, and we all require and have the right to as much love as anybody else, we won't be able to move forward. But you are fortunate, I can see that, and I'm extremely happy to see that. But you also see, you speak about access in your school, that a wheelchair have difficulties access. You know what? I'm thinking when you say this, that I think we are not good enough, you know? I don't think you can actually come to my office. And I think that after this one, we shall actually try to see if it's possible for you to get to my office. Because I'm at the 4th floor of that building. And I want to see if it's actually possible for you with a wheelchair to get there. And I have my questions about that. So you have made me think that we also have to do things differently. We should have a ramp, of course, that goes up so you don't have to go through the stairs. And we have a new elevator, and I wonder whether or not we get a wheelchair into the elevator. So you have really made me think that we may say something, but maybe we don't act precisely the way we preach. And you know, this is actually something that we can do something about. and the government in any country can do something about. You can regulate. You can tell schools that you have to have a school that is accessible to all. Now I think it's very encouraging to see that you are provided homeschooling. That's not a given either. But that should not really necessarily be the case. You should be able to go to school and have your friends at school and to be able to play with them. That's another thing. And if it's only about actually having access for a wheelchair, that's a very simple thing to fix. So we, the United Nations, we won't build the ramp, but we can definitely speak up. And when we meet with the Minister of Education or with other government officials, we will say, and I will definitely be very happy to say that, you know, I think that we're not treating everybody equal, because I know there are some very, very practical things that makes it impossible for somebody in a wheelchair to be able to go to school. So thank you very much for providing some very, very good advice on what we should be doing.
حابة أحكي لك بالختام إنه النقطة اللي حكيتها إنه حتى عندكم المبنى كمان مش مهيأ. صراحة ما زعلت، لأنه صراحة الجهات المختصة كمجلس أعلى لشؤون الأشخاص المعوقين، كوزارات كبيرة، كهيئة مباني حكومية غير مهيئة، بس إن شاء الله بهمتكم وبهمة الأشخاص اللي زيي اللي عندهم عزيمة إنه إن شاء الله كل شيء يتغير وكل شيء يصير مهيئ لنا، إن شاء الله راح يصير تغيير، وإن شاء الله التغيير راح يصير بأقرب وقت.